Luke had always been a man of few words, but many responsibilities. He lived on a ranch that had been in his family for generations. A vast stretch of land with rolling hills and green pastures that needed constant care. He had 2 young sons, who were full of energy and curiosity, and they were the center of his world. Their mother had passed away when the boys were very young, leaving Luke with the weight of raising them alone. Every morning Luke woke before the sun. He would dress quickly and head out to tend the livestock. The cows needed to be fed, the fences needed mending, and the barn had to be checked. All the while, the boys would follow him closely, eager to help, or sometimes just to be near him. Luke appreciated their company, but he knew they also needed guidance and discipline, which could be hard to balance with the long hours of work. The boys were clever and full of life, but they often reminded Luke of the emptiness left by their mother. He would watch them play and laugh and feel a pang of longing for someone to share the joys and burdens of the ranch. Life had been hard and lonely, but he tried to keep a steady rhythm for the sake of the boys. Luke was a tall man with calloused hands and a weathered face. His eyes carried the weight of experience and quiet sadness. He had learned to be strong because the ranch demanded it. But in moments when the boys slept peacefully or ran freely across the fields, he felt the ache of missing companionship. The ranch was his home, but it was also a reminder of the solitude he had endured for years despite the loneliness. Luke was proud of what he had managed to build. He had created a life that was honest and grounded. He taught his sons about responsibility and the importance of hard work. He showed them how to care for the animals, how to mend fences, and how to navigate the challenges of living off the land. The boys respected him and loved him deeply, but there was still a space in their hearts and his that could not be filled with work alone. Evenings were the hardest. Luke would cook dinner and sit with the boys, telling them stories about their mother and the family history. He wanted them to feel connected and loved. He would read them books and sometimes tell tales of adventures on the ranch. He saw the longing in their eyes for someone to nurture them in ways he could not fully provide. Luke often wondered if he would ever find someone who could understand the rhythm of ranch life and also care for his sons. He wanted more than companionship. He wanted a partner who could be a mother to the boys, someone patient and kind, who would love them as fiercely as he did. The thought of opening his heart again was both frightening and hopeful. The boys would sometimes ask questions about their mother, about why she was gone, and why there was no one else in the house. Luke would answer as honestly as he could. He told them that their mother loved them and that she would always be with them in their hearts. He also assured them that it was okay to miss her and to hope for happiness in the future. Spent his days in a careful balance of work and parenting. He knew that his sons depended on him not just for food and shelter, but for love and guidance. He felt the responsibility keenly and often sacrificed his own comfort to ensure they had stability and warmth. There were nights when he lay awake thinking about the future and whether he would ever find someone to share this life with. Despite the challenges, Luke held on to hope. He watched the boys grow stronger and more capable each day, and he felt pride in the little things. They learned quickly how to care for the animals and how to help around the house. They were curious about the world and eager to explore, yet they needed guidance, which Luke provided with patience and care. Luke sometimes walked the fields alone when the chores were done. He would look out over the land and think about what was missing. He longed for someone to share quiet evenings with, someone who could laugh and cry with him and be part of the family. He imagined a life where the boys had a mother figure and he had a partner who understood the beauty and challenges of ranch life. The seasons changed and the work continued. Luke and his sons adapted to the rhythm of life on the ranch. They faced storms and heat waves together and learned to find joy in simple moments. The boys learned the value of resilience in hard work, and Luke learned to find comfort in their laughter and presence. Luke knew that raising the boys alone had made him stronger, but it also made him yearn for connection. He wanted someone to share the burdens and the joys, someone who could offer love and warmth and help the boys grow into happy, confident children. He did not want to replace their mother, but he wanted to complement the love that already existed. He often thought about what kind of woman could fit into this life, someone with strength, but also gentleness, someone who loved children and the outdoors, someone who could understand the solitude and still find joy in the simple beauty of the ranch. It was a delicate balance to imagine, but he held on to the hope that such a person could exist, Luke continued his daily routines, but he did so with an undercurrent of longing. He cherished the small moments with the boys, the shared meals, the bedtime stories, and the laughter that echoed across the fields. He knew that the right person could bring a new kind of happiness into their lives, and he kept his heart open to the possibility the ranch continued to thrive under Luke's care, and the boys continued to grow under his guidance. They faced challenges and celebrated small victories together. Luke felt a mixture of pride and longing as he watched them mature. He knew that life was unpredictable and sometimes cruel, but he also knew that love and hope could make the difficult days brighter. Luke spent another evening sitting on the porch watching the sun set. The boys were inside preparing for bed, and he felt a quiet contentment mixed with a deep desire for something more. He wanted someone to share these moments with, someone who could be part of the family and help fill the emptiness that had lingered for years. He held on to the thought that perhaps one day his wish would come true. As night fell, Luke went inside to tuck the boys into bed. He kissed them on the forehead and whispered words of love and reassurance. They drifted off to sleep, and Luke stayed a little longer watching them. He felt the weight of responsibility, but also the warmth of love. He knew that he was doing his best, and that one day they might find the happiness they all deserved. In the quiet of the night, Luke sat by the window and looked out at the stars. He thought about the future and the possibility of finding someone to share his life with. He imagined laughter and companionship in a home filled with warmth and love. He held on to hope even as he faced the challenges of the next day and the many days after that. He knew that life was not perfect, but he also knew that love could bring light to even the loneliest of places. Luke rose early the next morning, ready to face another day on the ranch. The boys followed him eagerly, and together they began the routine of feeding the animals, mending fences, and preparing for the day ahead. Luke felt a quiet determination. He would continue to work hard, care for his sons, and keep his heart open for the person who might one day join them and complete the family that had been waiting for so long. Luke's life continued on the ranch with the rhythm of work and care for his sons, but one day something unexpected happened. A woman from a nearby town came to the ranch seeking help with some supplies. She was kind and curious, and she had a gentle way of speaking that caught Luke's attention. The boys were immediately drawn to her and followed her around as she examined the land and the animals. Luke noticed how patient she was with them, answering their questions and showing interest in their daily activities. Over the next few days, she returned a few times, offering to help with small chores or bring extra food. She seemed comfortable around the boys, and with the ranch work she did not judge or criticize, and that made Luke feel a quiet relief. He had been wary of anyone entering their lives, but her presence was calm and easy, and the boys warmed to her quickly. Luke began to see the way the boys' faces lit up when she played games with them or read stories. She had a way of encouraging them without being overbearing, and they responded with laughter and excitement. He watched them together and realized how much he had longed for someone to be a positive influence in their lives. He invited her to stay for a meal one evening, and the boys were delighted. They crowded around the table, asking her questions and showing her their drawings and toys. She listened attentively and offered gentle praise. Luke felt a warmth he had not felt in a long time. She seemed genuinely interested in their lives, and not just the ranch work. Over the next weeks, her visits became more frequent. She helped with the garden and the animals, and sometimes just sat with the boys, teaching them songs and telling them stories. Luke watched quietly as the boys learned from her presence. He could see their attachment growing, and it made him both happy and cautious. He knew the importance of moving slowly and allowing trust to build naturally. The woman also showed a willingness to understand Luke's world. She asked about the ranch and the routines and expressed admiration for the hard work he did every day. She did not shy away from the chores or the challenges, and that impressed him. She was patient and observant, and she did not try to change anything. She simply offered her support and presence, and that was more than he could have hoped for. Luke began to look forward to her visits. He found himself thinking about her when she was not there and appreciating the small ways she made life easier on the ranch. He enjoyed conversations with her while the boys played nearby and felt a connection that had been missing from his life. He realized that he could imagine her as part of their family without fear of losing control of his home or his sons. The boys began to rely on her for guidance and comfort. They ran to her when they were upset and shared their discoveries with her. She celebrated their successes and helped them. Through disappointments, Luke observed quietly and felt grateful for the way she nurtured them. He noticed how she encouraged kindness and patience, and how the boys responded positively to her influence. One afternoon, they faced a small emergency. Calf had wandered away from the pen, and the boys were scared. She remained calm and helped. Luke rounded up the calf, guiding the boys with gentle instructions. She did not panic or criticize, and together they resolved the situation. Luke felt relief and gratitude for her presence and skill. She had shown herself to be capable and composed under pressure, and he knew the boys felt safe with her as days turned into weeks. Luke and the woman spent more time together on practical tasks and simple moments of connection. They shared meals, laughed over small mishaps, and sometimes sat quietly enjoying the view of the land. The boys played and explored nearby, and Luke felt a sense of contentment he had not known for years. He realized that her presence brought balance to the home and allowed him to breathe a little easier. Luke noticed small changes in himself. He found himself opening up about memories and thoughts he had kept private. He shared stories of his past and the boy's mother, and he noticed she listened without judgment. He felt supported in a way that was unfamiliar, yet comforting. He began to hope that this relationship could grow naturally and provide the family life he had always wanted. The boys also began to show signs of attachment. They sought her guidance for little tasks and looked to her for comfort in times of uncertainty. They laughed with her and sometimes argued. Playfully, she met them with patience and encouragement, and Luke felt relieved to see the bond forming. She was becoming a part of their lives in a positive way, and he felt grateful for her presence. Luke also learned about her life. She had grown up in a nearby town and had always wanted to experience life in the country. She spoke of her love for nature and her desire to help children learn and grow. She had a practical knowledge of farm life and was willing to take on responsibilities without complaint. Luke admired her honesty and dedication. He saw the potential for a strong partnership that could benefit everyone. One evening, as the sun set over the fields, Luke found himself reflecting on how much had changed in just a few weeks. He watched the boys play and the woman guiding them with care, and he felt a warmth in his heart. He realized that he was no longer alone in his responsibilities or in his hopes for the future. He saw the possibility of a family growing together. With love and respect, they began to share small traditions. The boys would help her with baking or planting flowers, while Luke handled the heavier work. She would tell stories of her childhood, and the boys would listen eagerly. She encouraged Luke to take breaks and allowed him to see the joy in small moments. She brought a lightness to their days and a sense of stability that had been missing for a long time. Luke started to notice the quiet ways she cared for him. She offered advice gently, and sometimes prepared meals that he had not expected. She asked about his thoughts and feelings, and gave him the space to express himself. She did not pressure or demand, but allowed trust and comfort to grow naturally, and that made Luke feel safe. In opening his heart, the boys began to look forward to her presence. She became a consistent part of their daily routine, guiding them through small tasks and offering affection. They felt secure and happy, and Luke noticed the positive changes in their behavior. She was patient with mistakes and celebrated achievements, and this nurtured their confidence and sense of belonging. Luke also found himself talking to her about future plans for the ranch and the boys. He shared hopes and fears, and she listened attentively, offering thoughtful suggestions. She did not try to control or influence, but instead supported him and encouraged him to find his own solutions. He felt a growing partnership and the beginnings of a shared vision for their lives. A woman showed courage in adapting to the ranch life. She learned quickly and participated fully in tasks without complaint. She offered ideas for improvements and sometimes just offered comfort when things became difficult. Her presence was steady and reliable, and Luke began to feel that the boys were receiving the guidance and love that he had longed for them to have. Through the simple acts of spending time together, working and playing, Luke began to feel a sense of ease. He noticed how the boys trusted her and sought her out for guidance and comfort. She brought patience, kindness, and practical skills to their lives, and he realized that he had found someone who could complement the love he had for his sons. Luke continued to watched the bond grow between the woman and his boys. He saw how much they learned from her patience, how they laughed more freely, how their sense of security had increased. He felt gratitude and hope, and began to believe that perhaps a family could form from this connection, and that they could all share in love and support. Every evening they would sit together, watching the sun go down, and talking about the day. The boys would recount their adventures, and she would encourage them to think and explore. She offered guidance and warmth, and Luke began to feel that the house and the ranch were becoming a home in a way he had never experienced before. He realized that her presence was slowly changing their lives, and he welcomed it with an open heart. Luke knew that the journey was just beginning, and that trust and love needed time to grow. But he felt optimism that this new connection could lead to something lasting and meaningful. He could see a path where his sons had a mother figure, and he had a partner who understood him and the life he cherished. He felt a quiet sense of hope and anticipation for the future, and was grateful for the presence of someone who would become such an important part of their lives. Luke had been thinking for a long time about how much he had come to rely on the woman in his life. He admired her patience and her gentle way with his sons, but he had been hesitant to share the deepest parts of his heart. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, he found the courage to speak. He asked her to sit with him on the porch and watch the boys play nearby. He started slowly telling her about his fears. He spoke of the loneliness he had felt since the loss of his wife and of the responsibility he bore alone. He explained how much he wanted his sons to have a mother figure, someone who could guide them and nurture them in ways he could not always manage. He admitted that he had been afraid to hope for such a thing, but that he could not ignore the feelings he had developed. The woman listened quietly. She did not interrupt, and she gave him the space to speak freely. Luke found relief in her presence. Her calm and understanding nature made it easier for him to open up. He told her about the nights when he had felt overwhelmed by work and worry, and about the longing in his heart for companionship and a sense of family. He explained that his request was not just about himself, but about the boys. He wanted someone who could bring love and stability into their lives, and he hoped that she could see herself in that role. He did not demand or pressure, but spoke from a place of honesty and vulnerability. He wanted her to understand the depth of his feelings and the importance of her presence. The boys had noticed the serious tone of the conversation, but continued to play nearby. They occasionally glanced over and smiled at the woman. She responded with warmth and reassurance to them, showing that she cared and that she was willing to be part of their lives in a meaningful way. Luke felt the bond between them growing stronger. In that quiet evening, the woman took a deep breath and spoke gently. She told Luke that she had grown attached to the boys and had come to care for them deeply. She admitted that she had enjoyed being part of their daily routines, and that she valued the trust they had placed in her. She did not make promises lightly, but she expressed her desire to explore the possibility of becoming a part of their family. Luke felt a wave of hope mixed with caution. He knew that words alone were not enough, and that trust and love needed to develop naturally. He thanked her for her honesty and encouraged her to continue spending time with the boys to allow their relationship to deepen. He wanted this to be a gradual and genuine process for everyone involved. Over the next weeks, Luke observed how the boys responded to her new role. She continued to guide them patiently through their chores and lessons. She offered comfort when they were upset and celebrated their achievements. She became a consistent presence that brought stability and warmth to their lives. Luke watched quietly as the boys laughed more freely and showed greater confidence under her care. Luke also found himself opening up more about his own life. He shared stories of his childhood, the memories of his wife, and the challenges of raising the boys alone. He felt safe revealing these personal details to her, and appreciated her willingness to listen and understand. He realized that sharing his vulnerabilities was strengthening their connection. The boys began to show clear signs of attachment. They sought her guidance and affection, and included her in their games and adventures. She responded with patience and care, and Luke felt reassured that the boys were developing a healthy bond with her. He saw the beginnings of a family forming naturally, and it brought him comfort. Luke and the woman also found quiet moments for themselves. They would sit together after the boys had gone to bed and talk about their hopes and fears. They shared small laughs and reflections, and began to understand each other on a deeper level. this slow and steady approach helped Luke feel secure in his emotions and gave the woman time to adjust to the responsibilities and joys of being part of a family. Challenges arose as they navigated this new dynamic. The boys sometimes tested boundaries or acted out in ways that required guidance. She handled these situations with patience and consistency. Luke observed and learned from her approach and found himself relying on her wisdom. He realized that together they could provide the guidance and stability the boys needed. Luke began to notice changes in himself. He felt less isolated and more hopeful about the future. He appreciated the companionship and support the woman provided, and he felt gratitude for the way she enhanced the lives of the boys. He realized that his heart was opening again, and that he could envision a life shared with someone who understood and cared deeply. The woman also faced her own moments of doubt. She sometimes questioned whether she could fully commit to the challenges of ranch life and raising two children. She shared these fears with Luke, and he offered reassurance and understanding. They worked together to find solutions and approaches that made the transition smoother for everyone. She began to feel confident in her ability to contribute meaningfully to the family and the ranch. The boys continued to thrive in this environment. Luke noticed their growth in independence and confidence. They were learning responsibility and compassion from both adults and developing a strong sense of security and belonging. The woman encouraged their curiosity and exploration while maintaining guidance and discipline, and Luke felt relief in seeing the positive impact. Luke also realized the importance of expressing appreciation. He thanked the woman for her patience and care and acknowledged the effort she put into integrating into their lives. He found that open communication strengthened their bond and allowed them to face challenges together rather than alone. One afternoon, they encountered a small crisis. A sudden storm caused part of the fence to collapse, and the boys were worried about the animals. She helped coordinate the repairs calmly and guided the boys in handling the situation. Luke watched and felt admiration for her composure and effectiveness under pressure. He knew the boys felt reassured by her presence, and he felt proud of the teamwork they had developed. As the weeks passed, Luke and the woman developed routines that incorporated both work and shared moments of connection. They would work side by side on the ranch and then spend quiet evenings talking or simply watching the sun set. The boys participated eagerly, and the sense of family grew stronger each day, brought more trust and more understanding. And Luke felt hopeful about the future. Luke began to reflect on the emotional journey he had taken, the fear of opening. His heart had been strong, but he realized that honesty and patience had allowed a bond to form that was genuine and meaningful. He felt confident that the woman could play a loving and supportive role in the lives of his sons, and that together they could create a nurturing environment. The boys showed signs of deepening trust. They sought comfort and guidance from both adults and began to express their feelings more openly. They laughed more freely and showed empathy towards each other. And towards the woman, Luke felt satisfaction in seeing the positive emotional growth and the emerging family bonds. Luke and the woman also spent time discussing practical aspects of living together and managing the ranch. They communicated openly about expectations and responsibilities and worked together to create a system that was fair and effective. This cooperation strengthened their partnership and allowed each to feel valued and supported them. Woman continued to demonstrate her commitment. In care, she offered guidance without imposing control and nurtured the boys with patience and love. Luke found comfort in knowing that the children were receiving the attention and support they needed, and he felt hope for a future where their family could thrive together. Evenings became a time for reflection and connection. They would sit quietly together after the boys went to bed and talk about the day and their dreams for the future. Luke felt a sense of peace and contentment in these moments. He knew that the bond between them was growing stronger and that the journey they were on could lead to a lasting and meaningful family connection. Luke also took time to observe the emotional impact on the boys. They showed excitement and curiosity about the future and expressed joy in simple daily activities. She encouraged their interests and guided their behavior with patience and care. The boys felt secure and loved and woved. Luke felt reassured that their emotional needs were being met through patience and steady effort. Luke and the woman began to build a foundation of trust and love. Their bond with each other and with the boys grew stronger every day. They faced challenges together and celebrated small victories, and Luke felt a renewed sense of hope that the family they were forming could provide the love and stability they had all longed for. Luke and the woman continued to live their days on the ranch, with the boys growing more confident and happy. The partnership between them was becoming stronger as they faced each day together. They shared the work of the ranch and learned to rely on each other in small and big ways. She helped with feeding the animals, mending fences, and planting the garden, while Luke handled the heavier labor and taught the boys about responsibility and care. The boys were learning from both adults, and Luke could see the positive changes in their behavior. They listened more attentively and were more willing to help with chores. They laughed and played together and sought guidance when they faced small challenges. The woman offered patience and encouragement, and Luke was grateful for her influence in helping the boys feel secure, and love challenges came their way as they adjusted to this new family dynamic. Sometimes the boys acted out or argued, and the woman handled the situations calmly. She guided them with fairness and kindness, and Luke learned from her approach. He began to trust her judgment more and relied on her to help maintain balance and harmony in the household. Luke also noticed changes in himself. He felt less burdened and more hopeful about the future. He enjoyed the companionship of the woman and appreciated the support she offered. He realized that he could share his responsibilities and his heart with someone else without feeling that he was losing control over his life or the lives of his sons. They also faced the occasional challenge from the ranch itself. Storms damaged fences, or animals fell sick, and the work was relentless. But together, they handled these difficulties. The woman remained calm and practical and helped guide the boys through the tasks. Luke found comfort in knowing they could face challenges as a team, and that the boys were learning valuable lessons about resilience and problem-solving. Evenings became moments of connection and reflection. They would sit together after the boys went to bed and talk about the day. The woman shared her thoughts and listened to Luke as he shared his own. She encouraged him to express his feelings and allowed him to be vulnerable without fear of judgment. These moments strengthened their bond and allowed them to understand each other deeply. Luke also watched how the boys were forming a bond with her. They sought her advice and comfort and showed excitement in sharing their daily adventures. She nurtured their curiosity and encouraged them to explore while providing gentle guidance. Luke felt a sense of relief and joy seeing the boys feel safe and happy. He knew that they were receiving love and care in addition to his own. The woman also showed initiative in helping Luke plan for the future of the ranch. She offered ideas for improvements and suggested new ways to manage the daily tasks. She did not overstep, but shared her thoughts and collaborated with Luke in making decisions. He appreciated her involvement and recognized the value of having a partner to discuss and plan with. Luke found himself opening up even more about his dreams and fears. He spoke of what he wanted for the boys and for the family, and she listened attentively. They discussed goals for the ranch and ways to create a home that was loving and stable for the children. Luke felt supported and valued in these conversations, and he realized that he could trust her to share in shaping their future. The boys continued to thrive under their care. She helped them develop routines and encouraged them to take responsibility for their tasks. She celebrated their achievements and offered guidance when they struggled. Luke watched quietly and felt proud of how the boys were growing. He could see that they were learning not just practical skills, but also kindness and patience through her example. Luke and the woman also spent time enjoying the simple pleasures of ranch life. They walked the fields together, talked about the stars, and shared moments of laughter and quiet reflection. The boys often joined them, and the sense of family and togetherness grew stronger with each passing day. Luke began to feel a deep appreciation for the woman. He admired her resilience and her gentle way with the boys. He valued her guidance and presence and recognized how much she had contributed to creating a positive environment for everyone. He realized that their partnership was more than practical. It was emotional and supportive and brought warmth to their lives. They also faced moments that tested their bond. The ranch work could be exhausting and the boys sometimes challenging, but they handled these moments with patience and teamwork. They communicated openly and found ways to solve problems together without conflict. This strengthened their connection and allowed them to feel confident in facing future challenges as a united family. Luke noticed how the boys expressed their trust and affection for the woman. They were eager to include her in their activities and shared their successes and worries with her.
Us.
She responded with patience and encouragement, and Luke felt reassurance. Knowing that the children were developing strong emotional connections, the woman also helped Luke find balance. He was able to step back from constant worry and pressure and trust that she could guide and support the boys. He found more moments of peace and could appreciate the joy and laughter that filled their home. The house and ranch began to feel like a true family home, where love and care were shared among Luke and the woman worked together to create routines that allowed for both work and connection. They planned daily tasks and responsibilities and included moments of fun and relaxation for the boys. They took time to celebrate small victories like a successful harvest or completing repairs, and these moments built a sense of accomplishment and unity in the household. The woman continued to demonstrate her dedication. She nurtured the boys with kindness and helped them develop confidence and resilience. Luke felt gratitude for her steady presence and the emotional growth she encouraged in his sons. He realized that having someone who cared so deeply made life richer and more meaningful for everyone. Evenings remained a time for reflection. They would sit quietly together after the boys went to sleep and discuss the day and their hopes for the future. Luke felt a sense of peace and satisfaction in these moments. He recognized the importance of open communication and shared understanding in maintaining a strong and supportive partnership. Luke observed the growth and happiness in the boys. They were learning responsibility, compassion, and resilience, and they felt secure in the love and guidance of both adults. The woman continued to encourage and guide them, and Luke felt reassurance that their emotional needs were being met. He could see that the foundation of a happy family was forming slowly and steadily through patience, effort, and daily acts of care. Luke and the woman were building a partnership based on trust and respect. They faced challenges together and celebrated small victories. Their bond strengthened every day, and Luke felt a renewed sense of hope that the family they were forming could provide the love and stability they all longed for. The ranch became a place of warmth and connection, and the sense of togetherness grew stronger with each passing day. Luke woke early, as he often did, and stepped outside into the quiet morning. The ranch was calm and the air fresh. He watched his sons running through the fields laughing, and full of energy. He felt a sense of peace, knowing they were happy and secure. The woman moved beside him, bringing a sense of warmth and companionship he had never experienced in years. They began the day with routine chores, feeding the animals, mending fences, and checking the barn. The boys followed, eagerly learning from both adults. The woman guided them gently, encouraging patience and responsibility. Luke worked alongside them, feeling gratitude for the balance. The mornings became a time of connection and shared effort, and Luke realized that this life of partnership and family was what he had longed for. As the day went on, they faced challenges, as they always did. Storms threatened the livestock, and repairs needed to be made quickly. The woman remained calm and practical, helping the boys and guiding Luke in managing the situation. Their teamwork allowed them to handle each problem efficiently, and the boys learned the importance of cooperation and resilience from the example set by both adults. In the afternoon, they took a break to enjoy simple pleasures. The boys played games and explored, while Luke and the woman sat together. Sharing conversation and laughter, they spoke about dreams for the future, the possibilities for the ranch, and how they could continue building a happy and secure home. The connection between them grew deeper, and Luke felt more confident about the bond forming between them. Evening came, and they prepared a meal. Together, the boys helped where they could, and the woman guided them with patience. Luke noticed the joy in the boys' eyes and felt grateful for the love and attention they received. He realized that their home was no longer just a place for work and responsibility. It was becoming a space filled with laughter, warmth, and connection. After dinner, they gathered on the porch, watching the sun set over the fields. The boys talked about their day, and the woman listened attentively, offering encouragement and praise. Luke felt a quiet pride and satisfaction in seeing the boys confident and happy. He reflected on the journey they had taken from loneliness and uncertainty to a growing sense of family and belonging. As night fell, they prepared for bed. The boys were tired but happy, and Luke helped tuck them in. The woman stayed close, sharing stories and comfort, and the boys drifted off to sleep, feeling safe and loved. Luke stood quietly for a moment, taking in the scene, and felt a deep gratitude. For the bond that had formed among them in the days that followed, they continued to strengthen their routines and connection. The boys thrived with the combined guidance of Luke and the woman. They learned responsibility, compassion, and patience, and felt secure in the love surrounding them. Luke also found himself more relaxed and open. He was able to share his thoughts and feelings freely and felt supported and understood. The partnership they had formed was proving to be strong and meaningful. Also took time to enjoy the beauty of the ranch and the simple joys of life. Walking through the fields, tending the garden, and observing the animals became moments of shared happiness. The boys learned to appreciate nature and to work with care. And respect. The woman encouraged exploration and curiosity, and Luke felt satisfaction in seeing the boys grow in confidence, and character challenges continued to arise, but they faced them together. Storms, illness, or simple accidents required teamwork and patience. The woman proved herself capable and reliable, guiding the boys and assisting Luke. Luke felt relief knowing he was not alone in these responsibilities. The boys observed the partnership and learned how love, cooperation, and communication could help overcome obstacles. Luke and the woman also nurtured their relationship. The quiet evenings after the boys were asleep became times for conversation, reflection, and sharing dreams. They discussed goals for the family and the ranch and supported each other through fears and uncertainties. The emotional bond deepened and Luke felt a sense of peace and happiness that he had longed for. For years, the boys continued to grow in confidence and happiness. They expressed affection and trust and relied on the guidance and love of both adults. They learned the value of patience and responsibility and experienced the comfort of a supportive family. The woman encouraged them and celebrated their successes, and Luke felt reassurance in seeing the boys emotionally secure together. They created traditions that brought joy and unity to the home. Simple acts like cooking together, playing games, and celebrating small achievements strengthened the sense of belonging and love. Luke realized that the home was no longer just a place to live. It was a place where hearts were nurtured and happiness was shared. Luke often reflected on the journey they had taken. The fear of opening his heart had been replaced with gratitude and hope. The woman had become a source of stability and love, and the boys had flourished in her care. He knew that the family they were forming was built on trust, patience, and shared effort, and that it would provide a foundation of love and security for the future. Even as they faced everyday challenges, Luke felt a deep sense of contentment. He'd found a partner who understood him and cared for his sons, and the boys had a mother figure who nurtured them and guided them with patience and kindness. The ranch had become more than a place of work. It had become a home where hearts were healed and love grew. The evenings were filled with quiet moments of reflection and laughter. They would sit together on the porch, sharing thoughts and stories and watching the stars appear. The boys would often join them with excitement and curiosity. The sense of togetherness strengthened the bonds between them, and Luke felt grateful for the family they were becoming. Luke and the woman continued to work side by side, managing the ranch and raising the boys. Their partnership was strong, built on mutual respect, trust, and shared responsibility. They faced challenges together and celebrated the small victories, and through it all, the sense of family and love grew stronger every day. The boys showed remarkable growth. They became more confident, compassionate, and responsible. The woman guided them with patience and care, and Luke felt pride in seeing the positive impact on their lives. The home and ranch became a place of happiness, security, and emotional nourishment, where each member contributed and felt valued. Luke felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He had found love, companionship, and partnership, and the boys had a nurturing presence to guide and support them. The family they had formed was a blend of care, understanding, and shared joy. The ranch and home were alive with laughter, warmth, and connection, and each day brought new moments of happiness. As the story of their days continued, Luke knew that the journey was ongoing, but he felt a sense of hope and certainty. He had found someone to share his life with, and the boys had someone to love and learn from. The family had grown strong through patience, effort, and shared love, and they looked forward to the future. Together with hearts full of hope and joy, even though the family had grown close, Luke felt there was still more to experience and more ways to strengthen their bond. He looked at the boys and the woman and realized that life on the ranch offered endless opportunities for learning, growth, and happiness. Each day brought new challenges, but also new moments of connection and love. Mornings began early as usual, but Luke and the woman had developed a rhythm. The boys joined them eagerly in feeding the animals, tending the garden, and preparing the ranch for the day ahead. The woman encouraged curiosity and independence. She asked questions that made the boys think and explore while guiding them gently, and Luke observed the progress with pride. The work on the ranch was never easy, but together they found ways to manage the responsibilities. The boys learned about cooperation and the importance of helping each other. They saw Luke and the woman working side by side and understood the value of teamwork and dedication. The shared effort strengthened the emotional bonds among them and created a sense of family unity. The afternoons, they often took breaks to enjoy the land. The boys explored the woods and streams nearby, discovering new things and learning about nature. The woman encouraged them to ask questions and find solutions. She used these moments to teach patience and problem-solving, and Luke appreciated how these experiences enriched the boys' understanding and confidence. Unexpected situations arose. A sudden storm could threaten the animals, or a fence might need urgent repair. The woman stayed calm and guided Luke and the boys in managing the situation. They worked as a team and overcame each problem together. The boys learned resilience and responsibility, and Luke felt a deep sense of satisfaction in seeing them grow and adapt. Evenings became special times for reflection and connection. They would gather on the porch as the sun set and talk about their day. The boys shared their adventures and discoveries, and the woman responded with encouragement and guidance. Luke felt joy in seeing the boys confident and happy, and he valued the calm presence of the woman as they shared these moments together. Boys began to show emotional growth. They expressed their feelings more openly and learned to support each other. They sought advice and comfort from the woman and trusted Luke to guide them as needed. The nurturing environment created by both adults allowed the children to flourish and helped them feel secure and loved. Luke also noticed his own growth. He felt less burdened and more supported. He could share responsibilities and concerns with the woman and rely on her guidance. He found joy in small moments of connection and appreciated the sense of partnership and companionship that had developed. He realized that the journey they were on was as much about emotional growth as it was about managing the ranch. The family continued to develop routines that balanced work and leisure. They took time to play games together, cook meals, and share stories. The boys learned practical skills, but also the value of family connection and emotional support. The woman encouraged exploration and creativity, and Luke felt grateful for the balance and harmony she brought to their lives. Challenges still arose and required patience and problem-solving. The boys would sometimes argue or struggle with tasks, and the woman guided them gently. While Luke observed and learned, he trusted her judgment and relied on her ability to create a supportive environment. The boys responded positively to her guidance, and Luke felt reassured that they were thriving emotionally and socially through daily acts of care. The family grew closer. They shared laughter, tears, and simple moments that strengthened the emotional bonds. Luke felt contentment in seeing the boys confident and happy, and in having a partner who understood the joys and demands of ranch life. The home was now a place of warmth, connection, and shared effort. Woman also continued to guide Luke. He felt encouraged to express himself and share his thoughts. She listened and provided support without judgment, and Luke found comfort in being able to be vulnerable. He realized that this partnership allowed him to grow as a father, a partner, and a man. The boys showed increasing independence. They completed tasks with confidence, sought guidance when needed, and developed a sense of empathy and responsibility. The woman nurtured their growth with patience and care, and Luke observed their progress with pride. He realized that the emotional foundation they were building was as important as the physical work on the ranch. The family also took time to enjoy the natural beauty surrounding them. They would walk through the fields, watch wildlife, and explore the hills. Together, the boys asked questions, and the woman encouraged exploration, and learning Luke joined in the excitement and felt joy in seeing the children curious and engaged with the world around them. Evening gatherings remained moments of reflection and bonding. They would sit quietly watching the sunset and share thoughts about the day. The boys recounted adventures and discoveries, and the woman responded with warmth and guidance. Luke felt peace in these moments, knowing the boys were loved and secure, and that their family bond was growing stronger every day. The ranch work continued to be demanding but manageable with teamwork and cooperation. The woman guided the boys and helped Luke navigate challenges. She offered practical advice and emotional support, and Luke felt grateful for her presence in their lives. He recognized the importance of sharing responsibilities and building trust within the family. Luke noticed the positive changes in himself. The partnership allowed him to be more relaxed and open. He enjoyed the companionship and emotional support, and felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope. The bond between him, the woman, and the boys had grown deeper, and he realized that they had created a family built on trust, love, and shared effort. The boys continued to flourish. They showed kindness, patience, and resilience, and responded positively to the guidance of both adults. The nurturing environment allowed them to develop confidence and a sense of security. The woman celebrated their successes and encouraged learning from mistakes, and Luke felt reassured in the growth and happiness of his children. Through each day, the family strengthened their emotional connection. They shared laughter, challenges, and quiet moments of reflection. The boys learned valuable life lessons and felt loved and supported. Luke and the woman nurtured each other and the children, creating a stable and happy home. The ranch became a place not just of work, but of joy, love, and connection. Luke reflected on the journey they had taken together. They had built a family where the boys felt secure, loved, and encouraged. He had found companionship and partnership, and the woman had found purpose and connection. She nurtured the boys and guided them, while also sharing in the responsibilities and joys of ranch life. Each day brought growth, happiness, and the promise of a strong, loving future. Evenings became a time to enjoy each other's company. They would sit together after the boys had gone to sleep, talking quietly or simply watching the stars. Luke felt a sense of peace and contentment, knowing that the family bond was strong and growing. The children were thriving, and the partnership with the woman had become a source of strength, joy, and support. Family continued to face challenges and celebrate successes. Together, Luke felt gratitude for the partnership he had found and the nurturing environment created for the boys. The woman provided guidance, love, and care, and the boys responded with trust and affection. The home and ranch were filled with warmth, connection, and shared effort, and each day brought new moments of joy and growth. Luke realized that life on the ranch with the woman and the boys had become a true family experience. They faced the demands of work together, nurtured emotional growth, and celebrated the bonds of love and trust. Every day offered opportunities for learning, connection, and happiness, and Luke felt hope and certainty that the family they had created would continue to thrive and grow together.